Good afternoon, Brandon Creamy here with Custom Systems. In our last tutorial we covered how to install and configure an Android emulator for Windows. In this tutorial we will be covering how to install apps on that emulator and connecting that app to D365 Business Central. Before we get into that, you may have a few questions such as what is an Android APK file? How can you download them? What file types are compatible with your device? And finally, in the end, we'll cover any prerequisites that may be needed. Android APK files, also known as Android package kits, are the standard file format for installing applications on Android devices. These packages contain all the necessary components for the app to run. You can think of an APK file as the equivalent to what a .exe file would be for Windows. As far as downloading, you have two options, directly through the Google Play Store or a third-party download platform. Now there are pros and cons to each, but downloading through Google Play Store will require Android 6 or above and a Google account. This comes with the advantage that you can have paid apps, but also the advantage of easy and automatic app updates. However, using a third-party platform does not require a Google account, but is limited to free apps and requires manual updates. However, this option may be preferred if you're trying to bypass any region, country, or even hardware limitations. When it comes to downloading APK files, you may be faced with a lot of options, especially if you're using a third-party download platform. While most APK files today are universal and work across all devices, you may be faced with a scenario where you need to download a specific APK. If this is the case, there are two CPU architecture types, ARM and x86. Most of your mobile phones, tablets, and physical devices are going to run on an ARM-based processor. However, if you're using an emulator for Windows, in this case, it will be running on an x86 base architecture. There are a few prerequisites that will be needed to be completed before we can continue. One, you'll need an emulator running Android 11 or greater. You'll need access to a Business Central license that is assigned through Microsoft 365 Admin Center. That can be a Team Members, Essentials, or a Premium license. And you'll also need to be enabled in the sandbox or production environment of your choice. With that said, let's jump over to the desktop. As mentioned previously, there are two different download methods for Android apps. The first is going to be using the Google Play Store on your Android emulator, which does require a Google account. We will search for Business Central and simply install it. However, the second method is using a third-party download platform such as apkmirror.com or even apkdownloader.pages.dev. For today's example, we are going to use apkmirror.com, search for Business Central, and you will be provided with a list of different app versions that are available to download, with the top being the most recent. We will click on that app version that we want to download, and if we scroll down to the middle of the page where it says Download Dynamics D365 Business Central, we are able to click on this variant of this app version and download it. You will be brought to a page that looks like this, and you are able to download the APK after waiting a few seconds. Once the APK has been downloaded, you are able to install it a few different ways. For the first example, we are going to simply drag and drop the APK into your Android emulator. It's that simple. Another method of install is double-clicking on the APK file itself, as long as you have this APK file associated with the Android emulator. A third option would be coming to the three dots in the top right corner, clicking on More Tools and APK Installation. This will ask you where you want to install it from, and you simply go to that location and click Open. Once you have Business Central installed, open the app, and you will be prompted to sign in with your Microsoft credentials. Signing in with your Microsoft credentials at this point will load you into a production environment. However, if you are wanting to test this with a sandbox environment, you will need to click on Advanced Options. You will be presented with two options, on-prem or cloud sandbox. In today's tutorial, we will be covering how to connect to your cloud sandbox. It will ask you to sign in. And once you have signed in, you will see three different or multiple different environments. Sandbox, Sandbox 25, Sandbox 27. These are going to vary depending on your organization. If you're unsure, you can visit the environment page in Business Central to see a list of companies that are under each environment. For today's example, we'll click on Sandbox and Connect. All the companies that are under that sandbox will now be able to be viewed through this Business Central app. And it's that simple. We are now in and connected to the Business Central app for Android. As you can see, I'm connected to the demo environment, Cronus. For example, if you would like to change that environment under this sandbox, you can come up to your name in the top right-hand corner, click on My Settings, and you'll have the ability to select a different company that is available to you. For example, if I select this demo box, click the check mark to save, it will reload the Business Central app and I will be connected to that environment. One thing to keep in mind is that as you're switching environments, whatever role center is applied to your user in D365 will impact how the app functions and what is available to you. If at any point you would like to completely reset the app, you can do so by either uninstalling it or going into App Info, and under Storage and Cache you can clear the storage. This will reset the app to default settings without needing to reinstall it, and you will be asked to sign in again.